Welcome back to the Talk Your Tail Off podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, more commonly known as Girl with the Dogs. And for today's episode, we are going to be interviewing an interior designer that runs her own business. But before we get started, I'd just like to encourage you all to join this community by hitting that follow or subscribe button. And if you're interested in the pet grooming products that I know and love, you can check out my website, girlwiththedogs.com, and use code TALKTAIL to get 10% off your first order. Now let's dive in to today's episode. Today's guest is my good friend, Marcy Mussari. Thank you so much for joining me, Marcy.
Thank you for having me. You're so professional.
Oh, thanks.
I'm so, that was an amazing introduction.
I think I've said it enough times now that I literally dream about the intro and
Yes.
I just have it memorized.
Well, you're a professional.
Thank you so much. So this beautiful space that we are in is designed by Marcy.
Yes.
You see it in all of my videos. I did move to a couch, but I will be back at the table at some point. But yes, she did a great job. She also designed my upstairs
Yes, I did.
and hopefully soon to design a better pet grooming shop.
Stay tuned. It's going to be beautiful.
I'm excited about it. It needs to be more aesthetically pleasing.
That's what I love. I love to take an empty space and create something beautiful. So I'm excited to take on that next project.
Now, the reason why I wanted Marcy on the podcast is because we are all about entrepreneurs here, especially female entrepreneurs and owners of small businesses. As an owner of a small business for 13 years, I know how much work goes into it. Mm-hmm. But Marcy is also a little bit more than that. A few years ago, I don't know how many years ago this was, but you'll remember.
Okay.
I watched her on a show and it was awesome. And you know what? You can probably still watch that show, can't you? Is there links online for it?
I am so sad. Every other show you can find, this show, it's like it happened and then they erased everything. So that you can't find it online. What you can find, I did YouTube videos after each episode and I kind of talked about everything. That's still online. But yeah, they had a website for it. It's completely gone. I have the DVDs. I haven't watched them in years, but I've been kind of wanting to put them on and watch it again. But that was an amazing experience. And yeah, thank you for watching that.
Yeah, it was fun. Every week we were like
fun.
excited to see the next episode. But it was called Canada's Next Top Designer. And before we get into who the winner of this contest was, I will let Marcy talk a little bit about how she got into interior design and how you even got to be part of this show.
Right.
So I'll let you have the floor. Talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I can just remember being a little girl and always having a love for homes. I would ask my mom to take me to open houses on the weekend. And I remember playing Barbies with my sisters. And they would ask me to make their Barbie houses. And I would always get creative with what I was doing with making the bed and creating a beautiful setting. So design has always been something that I think I was born with, that I've loved. So yeah, I've grown up loving it. And when I was in high school trying to figure out what the next step would be, I was kind of torn between design and dance. Dance was another passion of mine. I was a ballerina growing up and loved being on stage and everything like that. Long story short, I was accepted to George Brown's dance program and ended up taking that. And halfway through, I knew I wanted to do design. So I talked to my parents about it and they kind of said, just finish this, get your diploma, and then we'll kind of go from there. So that's what I did. I finished the the dance program, and I ended up going to Fanshawe for interior decorating. And I absolutely loved that program. I took everything very seriously. I was really excited to do all my projects and present them to the class. And from there, trying to go back, I would post things on Instagram and Facebook, like on my apartments and things I would decorate. And slowly I started getting a following and people kind of contacting me. And with word of mouth, I got really, really busy. And thankfully, my business took off with that. And because I wasn't doing the dance as much, I missed the factor of being like on stage or in front of a camera. Just I love being performative like that. So I actually started a YouTube channel years and years ago. I should have kept up with it.
I remember.
But this was a YouTube video that was just dedicated to design and decor. So I started making videos in my room, just doing DIYs and kind of getting creative with present wrapping or setting a table or doing a gallery wall. And I was approached by a company called Dream Jobbing. They were doing a DIY competition in California for a DIY finalist. 25 finalists were chosen, and I was one of the finalists. And I was flown out to Hollywood with my sisters and my mom. And it was just such an amazing experience. I loved being in front of the camera. I had so much fun. I just met amazing people, and everybody was so kind. And I just fell in love with this world. And when I got home, I decided to just send out a bunch of emails to Maryland Dennis producers, people in Toronto, just anybody I could find. And it was kind of the perfect timing because I got an email back from a producer the week after. And they said there was a show being filmed in Toronto called The Search for Canada's Next Designer and that I should apply for it. So long story short, I applied for it. I made it onto this show. And I don't know how much you want me to say.
And she won.
I won. So I was the youngest competitor, 23 years old, from Queenston. Should I say where I'm from?
Yeah, you can say where you're from.
From a small town in Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake. And everybody else was a big Toronto designer. I was so nervous the whole time. But each week I just really followed my heart in a way. That's what I kept on saying when I was on the show. Just kept on following my heart, and everything ended up just coming to life. Took the ideas from my head, and it worked every week. And I ended up winning the show.
I remember watching it every single week, and I kept her good friend, which is also my good friend, Christina. I kept saying to Christina, I know she won. Just tell me that she won. And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, yes, you do know. You are her best friend. You know whether or not she won.
So I actually didn't tell anybody that. I didn't even tell my family that I won.
That's crazy.
So nobody knew, and it was worth it because when we watched the finale, we had a viewing party at my parents' house, and when they announced that I won, it was just so, everyone was screaming and crying. And I ended up dedicating my final room to my grandparents, my mom's parents, Zoli and Paisley. And my grandfather Zoli passed the year I was born, but he was into photography and design and just had a love for so many things that I loved. And I know this sounds woo-woo or whatever, but I felt really connected to him while I was on that journey. And I felt the need and wanted to dedicate that room to them. And I think that was extra special too for my family. So I need to watch it. Now that I'm talking about it, I need to go back and watch it.
You need to watch it. But I remember you dedicating all of those things. And you dedicated a lot to your grandmother as well. Something was on the bedside table that you had dedicated to your grandma.
Florals. Yeah, she's a floral designer. So yeah.
And you started crying on the show.
I'm an emotional person. I might cry on this podcast, to be honest. I'm not afraid to cry.
No, I don't like to cry. I will try everything possible not to cry.
I know you don't.
I hate that. But it made me tear up when you were talking about your grandparents, because obviously we know how close I am with my grandparents as well. So I get it. I totally get it.
So sweet.
But it was awesome to see her win. And it's just, I feel like you need to be in front of the camera more, because watching you on that television show, you were totally natural.
Thank you.
You were meant to be in front of that camera. For me, when I first started being in front of a camera, I was very awkward.
Right.
I didn't like people filming me. I felt, strange. Now, obviously, I feel a lot more comfortable. But for you, it's you just started out this is what I meant to do.
I do love that, and I love being performative and fun, but what I've really noticed is really being yourself in front of the camera is the most important thing. And throughout that show, that's what I made sure to do. When you're on a reality show like that, even if it's design, if it's dating, if it's whatever, you have producers trying to get nasty things out of you. They want the drama. They want all of that. And I was really true to myself the whole time. And I just chose, I'm not an evil person, and I don't like talking bad about people. So I made sure just to be myself in that situation. And I was probably boring to them, but I was like, this is me, and I'm going to be true, and I'm going to talk good about everybody because everybody here is amazing. So that's what I did.
I don't think they thought you were boring, because you definitely won.
Well, so
obviously
Something worked. Yeah.
But the creativity in the challenges that were given to you, you shined a really strong light on those.
You.
You did a really great job.
Thank you so much.
So I think you deserved to win. But we need to get you in front of the camera more. So you have a YouTube channel.
I have a YouTube channel that I haven't posted to in years.
You need to start.
I don't even remember my last video. I need to start.
You need to start because obviously you know that a lot of success can come from it. But I also think that you could inspire a lot of people to follow their dreams because you've become successful. You're great in front of the camera and you can teach a lot of people about interior design.
That's my biggest thing. Like, I think that I was given this passion since I was a little girl. And I know like a lot of people struggle with what they even want to do with their life. And because I've so strongly known this is what I love to do, I want to impact people's lives. That's what I've always been about, like wanting to create a home. It's not just a home to me. It's like a space you come home to that can totally change your mood, change your life. And I really believe that. So if I can do that and promote like a happy living and a space that you feel your best self in, that's what I'm all about. So if I'm doing that, well, I get to, you know, be in front of the camera and do what I love. That's like the best job.
Well, people in the comments, please leave comments telling Marcy to continue on with her social media journey because I know you found it difficult to keep pursuing.
Keeping up with it. Yeah. And because I was doing it by myself, I was filming, I was editing, I was getting myself ready. It's just, it was a lot. And when I get creative, sometimes I just like go. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot to get this or I forgot to film that. I also really like to live in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's finding a balance between all of that. But I think maybe I could if I had somebody that kind of could do certain things for me, I guess.
I think if you sent your videos out to get edited, it would save you a lot of time.
Probably, for sure, yeah.
That is definitely, for me, when I was running a full-time business like you currently are, and then filming, and then editing, and then coming up with voiceovers, the editing is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Not because it's difficult, just because it's the most time-consuming, and then you kind of run out of time to see your friends, see your family. It just, your whole life becomes work.
Yeah.
So I think if you make content, because you absolutely should, and then send those videos out to get edited. I think you should pursue it. I really think you will see them take off.
Thank you.
And you got to start with TikTok.
Oh, God.
You have to start with TikTok. Anyways, this is for me. This is what happened for me.
Yep.
For anybody listening who wants to make social content, you have to start with TikTok because right now, personally, I feel that it is the most used social media platform in the world, I think. And the videos can be so short and simple and go viral. And the more it goes viral, the more people learn who you are, and then you refer them to your YouTube channel.
Okay.
I think a lot of people listening don't realize that Canadians don't make money on TikTok.
Oh.
So that's why
that.
you can't. Like you can make money through brand deals if people sponsor you, but you can't make money through ad revenue like a lot of people in other parts of the world, specifically the United States. They can earn a living just through posting videos on TikTok. So once you start with TikTok, then you have to push your viewers to follow you on either Facebook or YouTube.
Okay.
Because you can earn on there. So if you don't have a Facebook page for your business, that's next.
I do, but I would rather do YouTube.
Do both.
Okay.
Do both at the same time because they both can earn ad revenue. They can both be successful. And even though I say that TikTok is the most viewed social media platform in the world, the number one social media platform in the world is actually Facebook.
Oh, whoa.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it has a lot of the older generation on there as well. And a lot of the older generation is constantly on social media. And a lot of them don't have TikTok.
Okay.
So it's important to do both.
Taking notes.
Now, let's talk specifically about being an entrepreneur. How did your journey start? When you first came out of school, did you just open your own business right away or did you work for somebody?
I wanted to find as much work as I could. So I worked, because we're in Niagara area, weddings are really popular here. So I started working with floral designers. I started working on photo shoots. I would just take on any creative work that I could find. And then from there, I was meeting different people in the industry. And like I mentioned, I think just by it was such a good time, I feel like, to be putting yourself out there and getting creative. Just by putting out those videos, those pictures, the before and afters of rooms and things I've done, it kind of snowballed after that. And I gained a bunch of clientele from that. And I was luckily able to just keep up with it all. And that's how, like I said, my business grew from that.
And what do you find now, or even when you started, to be the most difficult part of running your own business?
I have ups and downs. There's times when I'm so busy that I'm overwhelmed and I'm trying to figure out, like, do I need to hire somebody? Do I need more help with like having an assistant, keeping up with the bookkeeping? There's so many different parts. It's not just all like this beautiful picture that you see. There's so much that happens behind the scenes. So one part of being an entrepreneur for me that is a little bit more difficult is the total business bookkeeping side. It's not my strength. My strength is being creative and just having free range to kind of do what I want. So I have an assistant to help me with that, luckily. And I've had to learn to, know what's worth my time and where I'm going to put my time. And then the other thing that gets hard is the slow moments when you're not getting as many clients as you would like, and you have to pay the bills and you have to pay your mortgage. So it's finding, I guess, the push to put yourself out there and gain more clients. Luckily, it hasn't been a huge issue for me, but I feel like since COVID, I've seen a difference.
Well, interior design is a luxury service.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, obviously, during COVID lost their jobs. So now they're like, okay, what do we need to budget on in order to save money? And obviously something like that went out the window. But clearly it's gone up from there.
Yeah.
Things are getting back to normal now. But I think everybody during that period of time struggled.
Yes.
No matter what they were doing, most people were struggling unless they were in a essential, field like healthcare.
No, for sure.
But that's a struggle with every business. You're going to have ups and downs, even with social media for me, ups and downs. If you're going to start social media, or not start, but continue with it, you're going to see the same thing, ups and downs. My brother has a YouTube channel of my grandparents, and he calls me and he's like, oh, my views are down. Like my revenue is down. I'm like, it's a wave. You have to ride the wave.
Everything is like that. Yeah.
When you're an entrepreneur, no matter what you're doing, you have to be aware that, I think other people don't really realize this, is it's not stable.
Yeah.
It's rarely ever stable.
That's the hardest part.
I know.
That's definitely the hardest part. Sometimes I'm like, do I just get a 9-to-5? But I would never want, like, my personality and the way I work, I just prefer being creative and kind of having a schedule the way I want to schedule and
being your own boss.
Yeah.
I get it.
For sure.
I would have a very difficult time going back to a 9-to-5 after being an entrepreneur for 13 years.
Yeah.
So I get it. In regards to interior design and hiring an interior designer, are there some misconceptions that you feel your clients think of you or the business itself?
Some people don't even really understand like what a designer or decorator does. But starting with every project, I always give a welcome package that kind of narrows things down for people, and they can take a look at what I do and the process I kind of take to take an empty space and then turn it into something beautiful. So this is my passion. I just have so much love for what I do, and I can take on any job. So whether it's big and it's a remodel, or it's a smaller job where you're just kind of facelifting a room or just doing, some shelves, I think that if you are not the type of person that has a strength in this, it's worth it to kind of call someone to hire on, because it doesn't have to break the bank. You can do smaller jobs. And I just kind of have a range of different types of projects, which keeps my life more interesting. And I love that.
So I'm going to have you walk us through what it looks like for you for different jobs. So let's say I'm hiring you to decorate my entire upstairs.
Right.
And I just got it renovated, but I have no decor. So how would that start if somebody was hiring you? Like, where would you start with them? How would that work?
So I always start with a 1-hour consultation with the client. I go to the house, I bring my measuring tape, my paint samples, my laptop. I sit with you. I ask questions about the functionality of the space. I ask clients what colors, tones, moods, feelings they would want in the room. A lot of the times the clients, if they're to show me inspiration pictures, people show me like 7 different styles because they don't understand there's little pieces that they like from each space. So I kind of get a total sense of what the client is looking for, make my notes, take some measurements, and then from there, I like to create a design package for the client. So this is going to include paint color ideas. It's going to include if you need a certain layout. It's going to include furniture selection, sourcing, fabric ideas. And then I like to do a little presentation or send it over and have a phone call with the client to kind of explain what I chose. And then from there, I can order or client can start ordering bigger pieces. We put the room together. I like to go in. I like to do it on my own sometimes just to kind of place it in and then have the client come see it after. And then for finishing touches, I like to do, depending on the budget, I like to do a HomeSense run or, source little items to kind of bring the space together and do a little photo shoot at the end if I can. Nice little before and after.
So for me, when I hired Marcy, I'm not great at decorating, number one. But number two, I just don't want that on my plate. I just want somebody else to do it for me. I want it to look beautiful. Order everything for me, but also, most importantly, put it together. Yep. I don't even want to be the one that is hanging pictures on the wall or, setting up the space. So it was very convenient for me to have you do all of that. And now after getting that, I'm like, I don't think I could ever live without that now. I want
Vanessa, you were like a dream client because she had full trust in me. She knew this is what I do. And I already know your personality and I know what your interests. So you giving me that freedom is why it went so smoothly and why it turned out the way it did. That is so important to have the trust.
Well, I've seen your work over years.
Yeah.
And I know you'll do way better job than I ever could. So for me, it was like, okay, you just do whatever you want. I know I'm going to like it.
Yes.
But I'm pretty easygoing with anything to do with that, I think, in my life, really. Like, if you're a professional in that field, like even when I get my hair done, you know what looks best on me, do what you wish, right? True. So that's my personality, though. A lot of people are more anal, and I could see how that, like, as a client, how that can be frustrating.
Right.
Even as a groomer with more anal clients, right?
Yep.
That's where it gets difficult when you're trying to please people that just you feel like you can never please.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories that you could share with us of clients, either good or bad, that you feel like you can share? We love the bad ones here, but the good ones are good too.
A good one that always comes to my mind was a single mother. She's one of my good friends now. She had a living room and kitchen area that she wanted to redo. And she had just gotten out of a divorce and wanted a space to feel her own. And she, again, gave me this free range. And we did it very girly and fun and exactly her personality. And I set it up for her the one day. And she came in and just the tears in her eyes and her smile just made my life. And that's why I do what I do. And those moments to me mean so much to me. So that project always sticks out in my head. I have had a client that we didn't totally see eye to eye for the end result. And I, just based off the way I was being treated in the situation, it was more so just me feeling uncomfortable in a way over everything. And that one I did have to kindly turn it down. Yeah.
Did you get paid for your services up until that point?
I did, thankfully, yeah.
Because I could also see, have you ever had a situation where somebody refused to pay you?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Did you ever get paid?
I kind of gave my advice of how I, told them everything I did. And in the end, I think I was paid a little less than I was supposed to. But those are so unfortunate, those times, because you put so much work into something and people can see it and they think like, oh, she just whipped this up. But everything takes time.
Yeah.
And I have so many different things going through my head of what I'm layering in a room and why I'm putting one piece with another. And I want to have different options. So I would rather just kind of step away and not have to deal with that. And really that's why I like to meet my clients from the beginning and make sure that we have like a good connection. Yeah.
So if somebody comes to you and says, this is my budget, are you more often than not able to work within their budget? Have you had a scenario where somebody wanted something so extravagant, but their budget was so small and you thought to yourself, I can't make this work for what this person wants?
That happens a lot because people don't understand what goes into a room and the layers of everything. If you're adding a rug, if you're adding a sofa, if you're adding a coffee table, depending on who I'm working with, sometimes people are open to use a different variety of things. So we're kind of investing in a nice sofa, but then we're going to HomeSense for a rug. And then maybe we're finding some chairs off of Facebook Marketplace. And then even pillows these days, like pillows are like $130. So depending on what you want the final space to look like, I always like to have that conversation. But then we have to tweak things depending on budget.
Do you ever design anything yourself, like actually hand make anything for your clients?
No, but I would love to have a line one day. Like I would love to have like a fabric or pillow or candle. I did a few years ago actually do a candle, but I would love to have my own store.
For you to have your own store,
That'd be my dream.
the first thing you have to do is get on social media
I know.
and start a brand
Yeah.
on social media.
That's true.
Yep, that's number one. Everybody convince her. Have you had experiences, being that you are an interior designer, where you are at somebody's house and now they start asking you certain questions, like, what do you think what color do you think I should do this with? So I'm sure you've run across that many times.
That happens a lot. And because I'm nice, depending on where I am, I sometimes will give little, like if it's an overall idea of like, oh, what white paint color do you like? I'll sometimes just tell people. But when it comes to like just question on question and how to put a room together, that is what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. So I would rather that be in a consultation scenario or like a meeting over just me giving all of my ideas. And I know sometimes it's hard for people to understand that, but when you are a creative, like that is your job and you have an eye for it. So I've had to learn to gain confidence in what I know and what I can put together. And I am extremely confident with what I can create. So with that being said, I would like to get paid for my work.
Yeah. Most people don't realize that because it's a bit of a different space to be working in. It's not like a pet groomer where somebody's saying to me, hey, what kind of haircut do you think I should give my dog? Because no matter what, they can't do that haircut to their dog.
True.
So I could tell them, I think you should use a number 3 blade, but they can go and try and do that and it won't be the same. But if somebody asks you, what color paint do you think I should pick? And you show the color paint, well, they can paint their walls that color. Yeah. Right? So it's different for you.
It still won't turn out as good as the overall. You need my touch. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, for sure. You'll see my pet grooming shop when it's finished. I'm really excited. We have to do before and after.
Okay, yes, let's do that.
We did before pictures of my upstairs, but we never did after.
Can we?
We can. Things might be a little tiny.
I can come in
here
a
and there.
little bit before and
that's a good idea because now that I'm living up there, it looks more like a livable space, right?
Yes.
So I'd have to tidy stuff up. But what was I gonna then ask?
Oh God, I'm making you forget.
Yeah, no, it's just me. This is my brain. I forget. I constantly. I do this to myself all the time. It makes me insane. Like,
do you want to talk about your Nona and Nono and going to their house?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that. So we had this scheduled podcast before, and we were going to do it a couple weeks ago because Marcy had come with my friend Christina to my grandparents' house to make homemade pasta. So for any of you who have never seen my grandparents' channel, it's the Spicy Nonna. You can go to the homemade pasta video and Marcy is featured in it. And that's because, well, Marcy asked me if she could meet my grandparents.
Yes.
And because your grandparents have passed away. And I understand like that bond never goes away and losing them is traumatic and you miss them and you miss that culture. Her grandparents were Italian. My grandparents are Italian. So it's the same kind of feeling you get. And they're like famous on social media.
Yes.
So in the video, I actually died because in the video, when you're like, I feel like I'm meeting a famous person.
So cute. I did feel like that.
It was really
sweet.
cute.
Yeah.
And then I told my friend Christina, which is Marcy's friend as well, that we were going. And she's like, I want to come. So we all went and made homemade pasta.
Yeah.
It was a really fun time. So why don't you talk a little bit about your grandfather?
So don't want to cry. But I was extremely close with my Nona and Nono. They, like your grandparents, grew up on a big piece of land and have all the beautiful vegetables and fruits and make the most delicious meals. So food and gathering together has always been really important in my family. I would visit with my Nona and Nono weekly, like just stopping by. It was so like I could stop by whenever I wanted and go for lunch. And we had a really, really sweet relationship where I was totally myself around them. And I always say, this is when I get emotional, that I was always my best self around them. And they brought out just such a joy in me. And that's why seeing your grandparents, it meant so much to me just to have that afternoon. I had a moment when your Nona just like grabbed my hands and like squeezed my face.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry now.
And I literally like just saw my Nona like in your Nona's eyes, and I was just like, I just needed it. So you're so lucky.
I know.
And even when my grandparents were alive, like I really cherished, I'm so about just living in the moment and cherishing those memories. And I knew when I'm sitting with them in the backyard and my nono's cutting a plum with his hands and I'm staring at him and looking at just every little thing about both of them. And then he hands me like a piece of fruit and I'm eating it in the sunshine, like sitting on their plastic chairs, just like knowing that this is going to be one of the best moments of my life. And it's the most simple moments. And to me, those simple moments make life. Like it's not the flashy stuff you see and designer things. Like it's really about those moments with people that you love. And they really taught me that through our relationship. So I'm just so grateful for both of them. I miss them so, so much, but I feel them around me and I know that they're with me. And I'm just so proud to have made them smile and have had all those moments and memories. So if you have your grandparents, give them a huge hug and kiss for me because I miss them so much.
I don't think I've always had a close relationship with my grandparents the same way that you do, both sets of grandparents. But I didn't really start valuing that relationship until I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
That's when I really started to realize, like I started to cancel going out with friends. Or I remember I had a concert planned, I would say about maybe 5 years ago or so. I was supposed to go out to a concert with my friends and my nonna called me and she goes, "Are you coming to my birthday dinner tonight?" And I said, "I can't, I'm going to a concert." And you could tell this was the year before COVID. And you could tell she was disappointed. And I actually ended up not going to the concert and I went to her birthday dinner instead because I thought to myself, this could be her last birthday.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss it. And then the following year was COVID. So we didn't even get to celebrate her birthday. And I don't, for anybody listening that's young and you have your grandparents and you don't see them on a weekly basis or you don't have that relationship, you really have no idea how much you will regret that later in life. So if they're there and they're good people, because obviously sometimes we have, you know, family members that aren't good people and maybe we don't want to see them. But if they're there and they're good people and they want to see you, screw going out with your friends. Like go to that dinner because going out with your friends, you will hardly remember any of those nights. You will remember every moment with your grandparents.
I totally agree. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I would always I just would choose to see them all. Over so many different things. I enjoyed their presence, being around them and the way I felt around them. And yeah, I remember one of the last Christmases, it was Christmas Eve. My nonna was in a home for her dementia and my nonna wasn't doing anything on Christmas Eve. And my family normally does a lot on Christmas Day, but because I knew he wasn't doing anything, I wrapped a present for him and I brought over some mussels and we had our own Christmas Eve dinner and it was just the two of us and I brought candles and I set the table with candles and flowers and he would always say like, "What do you do, Marcy? Why you bring?" And I would be like, just wait. And he like loved it. Like I still have videos from that night and like his smile, our moments together, like it was just so simple and beautiful. And he always appreciated me taking something just simple and just making it special. And that's what I love to do in anything I'm doing. If I have anybody over, I will make it special for you. Like I think, growing up, I think I get that from them. And I'm just so proud to do that.
I watched every single one of your stories that you posted.
I have so many. I'm so happy I just have those. Yeah.
And I remember them.
Yeah.
Like I remember all the stories and watching them. I would say to myself, this reminds me so much of my grandfather.
Yes, yeah.
And then when you posted that he passed away, I felt sick for you. I really did. Because I was like, I really enjoyed seeing those videos every day.
The amount of people that wrote to me saying things like that, it was just so heartwarming just to feel like people would say like, I didn't even know him, but I feel like I do. And I never saw you two in person together, but I just know how strong the bond was. Because it's just something that you can't explain. You can just see it. And it's, I'm crying because I miss them, but I'm just so grateful that that is my life and that I have that. Like I really am.
Thank God that you filmed all of that because a lot of people haven't. And we get a lot of comments on our videos saying like, oh, you know, you're trying to copy this Nona's videos and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? Having these videos for the rest of our lives is worth so much more than any single dollar that is ever earned from that YouTube channel. Yeah. You know, my brother says it all the time. He's like, I'm putting a lot of work into this and, you know, we're not reaping much benefit from it. And I'm like, who cares? And he agrees. He goes, no, I don't care. Yeah. I am happy that I'm taking time off of work to do this because I know like he's starting to realize, he's in his later 20s now, but he's starting to realize how important that relationship is.
For sure.
And I was going to say something, but I don't remember. My grandfather particularly reminds me a lot of your grandfather.
Yeah.
And he still has to come here and see those walnuts when they're ready.
Yes, it does.
But he is an incredible artist. For any of you who have not seen the Spicy Nona YouTube channel, my Nona was saying to me recently, their museum closed about 5 years ago. And now the business itself is completely closing in December.
Wow.
And my Nona said to me, Vanessa, I don't want your grandfather to die without anybody knowing how good of an artist he is. I want the world to see his work. And my Nono has always said to me, you know, artists get famous after they die. So after I die, I'm sure people will know who I am. So anybody watching, I would rather people know him for who he is while he's here. And I want him to know that people are seeing his work.
Yeah, he's incredible. Like, I can't believe when we went there for lunch and then I got to see his studio, that was so amazing. Just seeing what he can create and even the art he created for your space and your house, like just unbelievable.
It really is.
He was born to do that.
Yeah. From the time he was 5 years old, he was creating art. So again, if you're watching this or you're listening to this, please go check out his channel, give his art some views, share it, you know, tag museums, because it would be awesome if a museum like Madame Tussauds or something purchased his artwork and had it on display.
Yes.
We don't even care so much about making money from it. Like, obviously, he's put a lot of work into it. We would like to sell them for obvious reasons, but it's not really about that. It's just knowing that my grandfather's art can be up in a museum somewhere forever, and I can go see it, and the generations after me can go see it, and I can be like, you know, your great grandfather created these.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing. And right now they're all in storage, and it's not even fair that they're in storage. It's sad. But yeah, we wanted to share a little bit of that tidbit of your grandparents, because as you get older, you realize how important that relationship really is. And, you know, watch those videos and you'll understand why it's so important.
Yes.
So go see your grandparents.
Yes.
Haven't seen your grandparents in a while. Go see them.
Go for lunch.
Go for lunch.
Bring them some treats.
Bring them lunch. Invite them over for lunch.
Yes. Do that.
But anyways, I think we're probably out of time.
Okay.
But I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. This was so nice. I loved this conversation.
It was a nice combo.
Thank you.
Even though you made me cry several times. But where can people find you, Marcy?
People can find me on Instagram. My account is at Marcy Misari. Do you want me to spell it out?
Yeah, you can spell it out.
MarcyMussari. I have a YouTube channel. It would be the same, my name. I don't know what the actual user.
It's just, they can type in Marcy Mussari.
Stay tuned. Maybe there'll be more videos coming your way.
There will be.
There will be. And I have a website, www.marcymussari.com.
So check out her work if you are from the region, or do you do virtual as well? Like
I can do virtual. Yeah.
Person. So anybody in the world could hire you for interior design.
Yes. And I'll travel. I've been craving travel. So yeah.
I've said the same thing when people are like, oh, I'm out here. I'm like, actually,
I'll go there.
I'll go there.
Yeah.
I want to travel. Yes. So thank you again for joining the show. And for those watching, stay tuned for my next episode where I will be interviewing an owner of a dog rescue. And we're going to talk a little bit about how rescue and purchasing from breeders can go hand in hand. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week for another episode of Talk Your Tail Off.